We're going to take a look at just how big your forehand swing should be. Now we've got Karim and Ali here, and we've got different clips, and this is one game where every single forehand I've basically put on there. There was one or two that were outside the frame, but other than that, we've got everything covered, and we'll go over it and let you know just what we believe is the right thing, and a few interesting insights that I think you'll find quite amazing. But we'll go through the process, and here we go. Alright, so I'm going to do this in semi-slow motion. Alright, so Goad's first shot, and it takes a picture when they finish their follow through. So here, the snapshot will be here. There's a snapshot, and it will go up. Okay, so now you understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So it's a snapshot on the finish of the follow through, so the racket doesn't go up anymore when I take the snapshot. And you'll keep seeing each one of these. Now it's a good mix of both players as well, so it's not just one player and what he does, and it's a mix of cross courts and straight drives. And you'll see the differences, and we'll talk about the differences as well, so you can understand just what happens. And I think a fair few people will be surprised at just what we get in the outcomes. Okay, we take a look at our outcomes here, and what I've got is I've got each of the pitches up top, as I said, and the cross courts and the straight. What you notice is a lot of the shots now are all about finishing to a stop position. So rather than having the big flying follow through where your wrist goes up to your shoulder or even your wrist to your heart with your racket up. So a lot of the people basically believe you'll have your, let's grab a line. This one will come down here, then your arm will come here, and then your racket will go up there, and that'll be the racket head. Okay. But what happens is that is nowhere near. A lot of people practice that, and a lot of people are taught that. But what's happening in reality is a lot of players now are finishing the racket down here. Now this is knee height, finishing his racket at knee height. So let's look, wrist are just on thigh height, wrist is lower, it's at calf height, wrist is at waist height, wrist at waist height, wrist at almost knee height, wrist just above knee, wrist very low here, wrist at knee height, wrist at knee height. Alright, now the racket angle, what that does is, I've got here straight and cross and straight, cross, straight, cross. What you notice, which is really quite interesting, the straight ones go up and the cross ones will finish with the racket head down. So straight once again, straight, cross one, straight. Now this one's an anomaly, and I'll tell you why, and we'll go through it in just a sec. There's a cross, and there's a cross with the racket up, which is a little bit of an anomaly as well. Now those two anomalies, what happened there, and it's no real big deal, this was taken so far behind his body, and like it's just out of frame and everything as well. But that's why he's finished his racket there, because he hit it so far behind his body that he's had to jag his wrist behind the ball to get behind the ball. So that's that one. This one is a real tuck around, so he's tucked it around, and it's just what's become comfortable to get the ball cross court. And so that's how that one's worked, to get the ball through and get it across at the right angle and be comfortable within his own shot. So what you notice a lot of is the wrist is not in front of the body when you finish. So we'll go through some swings now, also a bit of play, and we'll talk it through. Okay, we'll watch a play and we'll see how we go from here. So there's a little stab cross court. You noticed there wasn't much backswing and there wasn't much follow through. I'll show you that again. So the prep. So racket goes back to hip height, just above hip height. And then the wrist will stay in the stationary position, and he'll just turn it round. So it's an early move to get the wrist in the right spot, and then he'll turn around a stationary point and finish his swing. And so the whole wrist and arm doesn't go through the swing. The arm comes to a point where he wants to hit, and then he'll just finish his wrist almost as much as he can with a bit of natural body turn, what I call natural body turn. Okay, I'll find another couple of shots here. Okay, here we go. So it's a low prep. We hit, and then once again the wrist is virtually finished as soon as he's struck. Now we'll go through another couple of shots. So there's a stab return. So you see his wrist is even finished behind his body on the full swing. That's his full swing. So we have a look at Karim's shot here. He comes back, he's under stress, so his racket is back, and he's just going to keep his wrist in the same spot and just finish his racket head. So this is all just the wrist straight through the ball. See, his racket's really low, and there's no obvious turn in his body because you can't afford to. You've got to get out of there. So from here, now it's a boast through there. So this would be a good one. Okay, so what we noticed with this is if you go to a straight arm, so what he's doing is pushing his wrist a straight line. So you'll strike the ball and then he'll push it out, out, out. And he's pushed out towards the direction he's hitting. So his wrist has gone out, more out toward this way rather than turning around and going around that way. So it really makes a difference if you can get a straight line wrist through the ball. So if you can actually get your wrist to go down the line that you want to hit. So I'll have a look at this one. So once again, it's virtually no follow through at all. It's virtually just a straight wrist speed. You get your arm. So what's happening now is your arm works here to get the wrist in the right spot. So your arm will go from here, you'll get your wrist in the right spot, and then your wrist will go through the ball. And that's how it will actually work. There'll be a little bit of arm movement still, that will strike the ball through there. There'll be a little bit of arm movement, and that will be for comfort and for control of balance and everything like that as well. And you'll push your wrist generally out towards front wall. Now what you notice here is it's almost a straight arm. So we're going to go straight arm virtually to finish. So you can go from a bent arm to a straight arm, and that's what that does is that makes your wrist go very much towards this way. It's going to be an arrow, believe it or not. Makes your wrist go that way and through in the line of the ball, the line that you want the ball to go. So it really makes a difference. So it's quite a good thing. And we keep going through here. Okay, so this is off the back wall. This is from the very back of the court. And what happens is he just goes and follows through with his wrist to around about knee height. So he still hasn't even followed through from the very back of the court. He's just stabbed the ball down the wall pretty much. And that's a great target hit. Look at that, it's going to the back. We'll see what Ali does here. Once again, so there's his follow through there. I know he's almost out of screen, but you see he's from the very, very back of the court off the ball, which has come off the back wall. There's no big flowing, smashing drive right through the ball. It's the little stab swing where you just finish your racket with a really strong wrist and really strong body. And this is all about core muscle hitting as well. So it's off a really strong body that you use your arm to get the ball, your wrist in the right spot, and then you accelerate your wrist through the ball. That's a cross court, Nick. We'll catch up. There we go. Okay, so the volley, not much different, finishes with its racket really low and gets your wrist action through the ball. So what happens is squash is becoming more like badminton, where it's a lot more wrist at high level than it is about a big flowing power body through the ball. It's a really strong base. See, look at that swing there. The follow through is almost negligible, and look how deep the ball got and how quick it got there. It's just an amazing shot of just how quick. I'll go back a little bit further. Okay, so the racket, he's got to get around his opponent, which is really handy. He doesn't need the big swing. It's pretty safe for his opponent. The racket prep's all done. Now it's all forward from here. He'll get his wrist at the stationary point, and now he'll just turn his wrist around. So he'll hold his racket there. That's that straight arm that we spoke about. So what happens here? We're going straight arm. And now we're just going to turn our racket from here, and it will go around. And so what will happen is and there's a racket that went around. So it was not even much pronounced at all in the follow through, virtually no arm follow through whatsoever. So this only takes really strong arm, really strong wrist, so it's not outside of everybody's capability, but you just do have to train a little bit for it, and once you get hold of it, it's pretty phenomenal what you can do. So when you get used to this, you end up finding that you use very little energy and you get a really good outcome of really quick action. So if I go from here, I'll just hold this on slow motion, semi-slow motion, and you'll see the stab. It's just a stab hit. Look at that, beautiful target hit, really quick here on a rising ball. Big deep drive off the back wall here. It's a hip drive. It's a lower than hip drive. Once again, we're stabbing the ball through. That one's one on the rise. It's gone a bit short on that one. But it's pretty phenomenal. What you think you used to have to do with a big, full, flowing swing, it's all changed now because the rackets are so powerful and people train so well and their bodies are so strong. So it's quite amazing just what you can do if you just train a little bit and if you understand that body, the lack of body turn. So the lack of body turn here adds deception. So this is the other part that it gives you. So it enhances your ability to deceive. Because see how he hasn't turned his shoulders, and now Karim's got to work out where the ball is and then tackle it, and you can't volley that because it's just the deception's taken out the volley. Alright, so there you go. If you can reduce your swing, use your wrist more through the ball, and then you'll find it's really quite amazing. It really makes a big difference to your ability to get onto a rising ball and to attack at the right time, and it adds the deception that you need to be able to go and take out the volley. And if you can take out the volley, you can then push your opponent deep and then come in on the volley yourself. So it really makes a difference. So there you go. Reduce the follow through on your forehand drive. That's a standard forehand drive. That's what they're doing every single shot. There are no other drives. There are no other big flowing swings virtually. It's all just the real short stuff, and it's pretty phenomenal what it does. So there you go. I hope this helps. Change your forehand drives, change what you're doing, and do what the PSA guys are doing, and hopefully it'll improve the quality of your game.